Okay, so get this. We're talking about Alzheimer's research, but with a really unexpected twist.
Yeah, we're diving into a study that uses fruit flies to understand what's happening in the human brain.
Fruit flies. Really? I mean, I know they're used in research, but for something as complex as Alzheimer's.
I know it sounds strange, but these little guys are giving us some clues about how the disease works.
Okay, I'm listening. What have they found?
This research focuses on a protein called tau, which is a key player in Alzheimer's.
Right, tau. I've heard of it.
So tau is actually important for healthy brain cells, but in Alzheimer's, it clumps together, forming these tangles that really mess things up.
Yeah, those tangles cause damage and eventually kill brain cells, don't they?
Exactly. That's one of the hallmarks of the disease.
So researchers are trying to find ways to stop this tau protein from wreaking havoc.
Exactly. And this particular study is looking at how tau spreads between brain cells, because that's a huge focus right now.
I see. And how do fruit flies fit into all of this?
Well, fruit flies are like the darlings of genetic research.
Because there's small, reproduce quickly, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Plus, we've got amazing tools to study their genes, and get this, they actually share a surprising number of genes with us.
Wow, so they're more similar to us than they look, I guess. Using fruit flies could speed up research compared to mice.
Absolutely. And for some people, it raises fewer ethical concerns.
That's a good point. But I have a feeling this is where the plot thickens.
You're right on the money. This research took an unexpected turn. It didn't go quite as planned, which is what makes it so interesting.
Okay, you've got to tell me more. What was this unexpected turn?
Well, they basically set everything up perfectly for the tau to spread in the fly's brains.
Yeah?
And nothing, it just didn't spread.
Wait, really? None at all. I thought with all our genetic tools, we could at least make a little protein move around.
You'd think so, right? But nope, they tried everything and the tau just wouldn't budge.
So how did they even set up this experiment?
Okay, so they focused on two types of neurons in the flies, PDF neurons and orco neurons.
PDF and orco. Why those two?
Well, PDF neurons are involved in their sleep-wake cycles, like our circadian rhythms.
Oh, interesting. And the other ones?
Orco neurons, those are all about smell. They're olfactory neurons.
Ah, I see. So two very different types of brain cells. Were they trying to see if tau spreads differently in different parts of the brain?
Exactly. They wanted to know if location mattered. And to track the tau, they used this really cool technique called trans-Tango.
Trans-Tango sounds like a dance move.
I know, right? But it's actually a genetic tool. They engineered the flies so that when the tau protein enters a neuron, it sets off a kind of fluorescent marker.
A marker, like a little flag saying tau was here.
Exactly, like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. But instead of crumbs, it's glowing markers.
Oh, that's clever. So they could literally see if the tau moved from one neuron to another.
Yep. And they really went all out, trying different types of tau, different ages of flies, even throwing in amyloid-β, that other protein involved in Alzheimer's.
So they were like, come on, tau, do something.
Pretty much. But no dice. No matter what they did, the tau just sat there in those neurons, refusing to spread.
That's so bizarre. You'd think something that causes so much damage in the human brain would be easy to replicate.
You would think that, wouldn't you? And that's what makes this finding so important.
What do you mean?
It means there's something fundamentally different about how tau behaves in a fly's brain compared to ours.
So does this mean fruit flies are useless for studying Alzheimer's now? So are we saying goodbye to fruit flies and Alzheimer's research then? Is this the end of an era?
Not quite. I mean, think about it this way. They've been incredibly useful for studying tau toxicity, right?
Right. How tau actually harms those brain cells.
Exactly. And that process, we know, it's pretty similar in flies and mammals.
Okay, so we're not throwing out all the research that's been done.
Definitely not. But this new research does suggest that flies might not be the best model for studying tau spread, at least not in the same way it happens in our brains.
So different rules for flies and mammals.
It seems like it,
Yeah.
which is actually really exciting.
How so? I'm trying to wrap my head around why that's good news.
Well, it means there's something about the environment inside mammalian brain cells that allows tau to spread in a way it just can't in insects.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if we could figure out what that something is.
Exactly. That could be huge. It might hold the key to stopping or preventing tau spread altogether.
It's like finding a missing puzzle piece. The fact that it doesn't work the same way in flies actually gives us a new lead to follow.
Exactly. And it speaks to the thoroughness of these researchers. I mean, they didn't just assume their results were right. They did all sorts of checks and balances.
Like what?
Well, they ran this really rigorous antibody testing to make absolutely sure they were detecting the human tau protein in the flies and not something else.
No confusing results. No false positives.
Exactly.
Right.
So we can be confident that this resistance to tau spreading, it's a real phenomenon in flies, and it's something we need to understand.
So where do we go from here? If flies aren't the answer for studying tau spread, what is?
That's the million-dollar question right now. This study really highlights how much we still don't know about tau and how it contributes to Alzheimer's.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? Every unexpected finding, every dead end, it brings us one step closer to understanding this complex disease and hopefully finding new ways to treat it.
I like to think of it as science keeping us on our toes. Always another mystery to solve.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe this unexpected finding in flies will be the clue that unlocks a whole new understanding of tau and leads to better therapies in the future.
Fingers crossed. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But as always, this research leaves us with a lot to ponder.
It certainly does. And it highlights just how much potential there is in exploring unconventional research avenues, even if they lead to unexpected results.
Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey into the world of fruit flies and Alzheimer's.
My pleasure. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.